Good morning.
Hello.
I really am excited to talk to you because I've read your story. I've watched a lot of your videos. Your story is amazing. I mean, it's tremendous to see what you're doing with the platform you have and how you've built it.
Thank you so much.
So, I mean, what's your earliest memory of actually like thinking I wanna do this on YouTube? And what was your idea that you wanted to do on YouTube, I guess?
Yeah, nowadays, I mean, YouTube is the #1 job kids want to have when they grow up. But when I was a kid, it didn't even exist. I feel old. But so for me, I grew up wanting to be in entertainment. I wanted to be an actress, a model, a singer. I just wanted to perform. It's always been my passion. And then when I was 14 and lost the majority of my vision, I felt like that wasn't going to happen because blind people, disabled people in general aren't really represented in mainstream media. So I kind of gave up on that dream, which is so sad to say, but that's around the same time that I found YouTube. With going blind, I was struggling with depression, I was struggling with bullying, I lost all my friends, and so I kind of went to YouTube, and these girls on YouTube in the beauty lifestyle space felt like they were my friends. It's kind of how I spent my time. Instead of going to sleepovers at the mall with friends now, I would watch YouTube videos. And I felt like maybe one day this will be my way of working in the entertainment industry. And now it is. And I feel so lucky.
And so what were you hoping to do once you started actually recording on YouTube? Was there a message that you wanted to send, or were you just trying it out and seeing what would happen?
At the time, I was a full-time motivational speaker.
Right.
So I didn't really need it to be a job.
Right.
So for me, it was a hobby, it was an outlet, it was a side project, if you will. It was just another way to spread the message that I was spreading as a speaker, but on another platform that was even more universal. Because with speaking, I can only speak on so many stages a year. And once I'm off, it's done, it's over, there's nothing left of it. But with YouTube, I can post a video and 3 years later, sometimes unfortunately, it's still there. And so I loved that idea, and I love that it's accessible to people all over the world who need it. So I really just wanted to continue to raise awareness and education about blindness, disability in general, break down misconceptions and stereotypes, talk about service dogs, my guide dog Gallop, but then to also share other aspects of me that I think humanize me as a disabled person. The fact that I love makeup and fashion and shopping and tea and bubble baths and yoga, and I go on dates and I live a quote normal life of a millennial woman. So I like being able to share that part of myself too.
And what's the hardest part of actually being inspirational? Because the messages that you're giving people are amazing, but I can't even imagine how you come up with these stories that you're telling. So where do you start when you're coming up with one of these messages?
I think all of what I went through at such a young age and all of the experiences I continue to face daily as a disabled woman just lend themselves to so many life lessons. I feel like I was always an old soul, but growing up from the time of being 6 months old, going to Sick Kids Hospital here in Toronto, and growing up knowing that you're disabled and then dealing with mental illness and bullying and all of these different changes, moving countries from Toronto to LA and all of this stuff daily, dealing with access issues with my guide dog and discrimination, for being who I am, it gives me so much material to work with. So I feel like it just comes naturally, and I'm truly living my purpose by taking those experiences and not wasting them, but doing something with it.
Well, I love that you did your one video of your 10 favorite things about being blind, and then your 10 the worst things about being blind.
I really try to balance the perspectives. So I think I would be doing my community an injustice if I didn't talk about our challenges. Because in not addressing the challenges of being a blind person, there's no hope of creating change when you don't raise awareness to the able-bodied community around us who can empower us and help change it. So I feel like I have to talk about those things. But because society already has such a negative stereotype of what it means to be disabled, I also like to flip that on its head a little bit and share the positives of it.
That's awesome. I guess the one thing I'm curious too is, what's your process like for when you're creating, say, one video? Because you create so many videos in a month. How do you work on one? What does it take for you to I guess build that story?
It completely depends because I do so many different styles of content.
Right.
It totally, every video is different. Some videos take, I mean, even like a month to make or longer, whereas others, I can get it done in 20 minutes. If it's just me sitting down and chatting, sometimes if it's a list like top 10 things I love about being blind, I have to, write the list out, think about the things, formulate how I want to frame the video, then sit down, film it. But other videos, I can just sit and talk and ramble, or some videos are, bigger projects, like my 10-year journey series with Samsung. I conceptualized that almost like 2 years ago, and then started working with Samsung, pitched the idea to them, worked with them for almost a year to get it to the place where we wanted it to be, and then went over to Europe and filmed 9 videos, 6 cities, 2 countries, 10 days, and then that was back in December, and we're on episode 9 coming out this Saturday and episode 10 next Saturday to wrap up the series. So that's been a long time in the works, so it completely depends.
Wow, that's great. Well, tell me a bit about Do What You Can't and what it means to you, because obviously everyone will take something different from that, but for your story, I mean, it sounds fascinating. What does it mean to you?
It's one of the things I love the most about Samsung is their Do What You Can't slogan. I think it's so empowering. And growing up as a disabled woman, you're always told what you can't do, what you won't do, what you shouldn't do, what won't be possible for you. And so for such a huge brand to be like, no, screw that. Do what you can't. Do what you're told you're not going to be able to. It's amazing. And so I love that message, and I feel like it's what I try to embrace every single day in my life as my own mantra. And I love that, working with Samsung on my social platforms, I also get to spread that message to my followers.
That's great. Well, are there features on the phone now that make a difference to you?
Absolutely. I wouldn't work with Samsung if there wasn't. And I also love that Samsung is open to my feedback. They're interested in hearing my suggestions for continuing to improve it. Of course, I use Bixby a lot, but I also use a program called Voice Assistant, which Samsung has created for blind users like myself, which basically reads out everything that's on the screen and allows me to use a number of different finger tapping techniques to basically use everything on the phone that anybody else can use.
That's fantastic. Do you think there are misconceptions, obviously, among a lot of people about, how you would use a phone versus how someone else might use a phone?
All the time. I get people asking, commenting on Instagram, wait, how does she post on Instagram if she's blind? Or commenting on my videos, I don't get it, like, how does she use a phone if they see my phone in my hand or something? And I'm like, guys, it is 2019. Like, we've got Bixby, we've got all of these, like, crazy things. We have smart homes.
Right.
Samsung has smart fridges and it's crazy. So if technology has been able to come that far, don't you think they've figured something out for us blind people? The answer is yes, they have, and it still has a ways to go, but it's really rewarding that I get to actually work with a company like Samsung to provide that feedback and to help them get there.
Well, the last thing I'd like to know is, have things changed now with technology that they're actually easier? Because obviously there's a discussion about ableism and the fact that really a lot of things aren't maybe thought through to the level they need to be. So is it getting easier, or how would you interpret it?
It is. I mean, the biggest kind of thing I can connect this to is 10 years ago, 11 years ago when I went blind, no technology was accessible, really. You had to buy a separate program, put it on a special device. It was very, very convoluted, very difficult. I couldn't pick up my friend's phone. I would play Russian roulette with my iPod. I would just spin the wheel and click.
Wow.
I couldn't even pick my own music 10 years ago. Now, I could borrow my friend's phone, get Bixby to turn Voice Assistant on, and independently use their phone.
That's fantastic.
So we went from, I had to get specialized programming that was thousands of dollars, put on a very special computer that was thousands of dollars, and then I could only ever use my computer. I couldn't pick my own music. I couldn't listen to what I wanted. Now, I can borrow a friend's phone when mine dies, and I can use it. And on that phone, I can, use an app to read me the menu. at a restaurant. I get like it. To me, technology levels the playing field and makes the world that isn't accessible a lot more accessible, and that's amazing. Honestly, I'm lucky to be a blind person in the 21st century. That's how I look at it.
Right. Well, thank you very much. Really a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is great.